The Corvette has been a cornerstone of American performance cars ever since its introduction in 1953. And over the years, there have been some really interesting concept cars using the Corvette name. Here's the 1986 Corvette Indy concept car, a mid-engine show car that debuted at the 1986 Auto Show in Detroit. And you could clearly see the mid-engine proportions here and the engine under glass in the back with the venting louvers there right behind it. This was originally powered by a 2.65-liter V8, which was later shelved in favor of an early ZR1 style V8, 5.7-liter double overhead cam engine. And, Corvette for a number of years went through this mid-engine, trying to become a mid-engine car with all these exciting concepts. You can see the Aerovette next to it, which I'll talk about in a second. But never really making it through to production, generally because of cost. And the C8 was really the first Corvette that went true mid-engine. But before that, GM had toyed around with a number of these concepts. Here's the Aerovette, which is my favorite, with this super low hood line, the engine under glass again, really interesting interior. By the way, the seats in this Aerovette are fixed. They don't move. The pedals actually move. And you can see there's little anchors on the accelerator and the brake. So the seat remains fixed. The pedals move back and forth to adjust the height, and the instrument pod moves up and down in order to adjust it. This was originally powered by a Wankel rotary engine that was later shelved in favor of a conventional V8. But the rotary engine was a 6.4-liter four-rotor engine. This was during the time when GM was exploring with Curtiss Wright the use of Wankel engines very widely, but unfortunately later those didn't come to fruition primarily because of emissions and durability concerns. In any event, you can see the bifold gull-wing doors in this car. The window glass is fixed. There's no windows that drop down. That's for structure and body weight. I guess GM employed the same philosophy of the fixed windows in their later 70s A-body cars where the rear windows didn't go down. And this car was designed by Jerry Palmer, who later rose to become the number 2 design executive at General Motors. But just an overall sleek, low-profile body shape, and love the wraparound glass and windshield. Next, we have this 1972 Reynolds Corvette Experimental, or the XP895 Corvette. There were 2 of these made. One was steel-bodied, and this one, which was aluminum-bodied, hence the Reynolds name. The body was a joint venture between GM and Reynolds Aluminum. But again, another mid-engine Corvette. This one's powered by a 400 cubic inch small block V8. And for those who may not know, the typical 350 that you hear about, the largest displacement of that motor was 400 cubic inches, which is used in this vehicle, as well as it was even a standard engine for the Caprice in the early 70s. So they were able to bore out the 350 to a 400 cubic inch motor, and that was as big as it could go with the Siamese cylinder walls at the time, meaning no coolant flow in between the cylinders. But what a sleek design shape here. And some similar lines, albeit with a very different back glass, can be seen in the next year's 73 two-rotor Corvette concept that was done by Kip Wasenko and perhaps provided some inspiration for the later Porsche 928, although Porsche's chief designer Tony Lepine actually has said that the AMC Pacer, believe it or not, the rear of the AMC Pacer inspired some of the design of the rear of the Porsche 928. That is a true story, not a joke. In any event, the last mid-engine Corvette concept here. This is the 1968 Corvette Astro 2 concept, which debuted at the 1968 New York Auto Show and was the first time where publicly GM was putting this mid-engine concept on display. It's powered by a 427 cubic inch motor that makes 400 horsepower and originally had a 1963 Pontiac Tempest drivetrain, which proved too weak, of course, and had to be subsequently re-engineered. But this mid-engine concept really began with the Serv 2 racing vehicle that Zora Arkus Duntov had pulled together. By the way, the Serve 2 was designed by Tony Lapine, whom I just mentioned, later became head of Porsche design, and Larry Shinoda, another famous GM designer. Larry led the design or significantly participated in the design of the 63 split-window Corvette, as well as the Mako Shark concept, the C3 Corvette. Then he went to Ford. He was recruited by Bunky Knudsen and was responsible for the Boss 302 and arguably even the naming of it, which was a reference to Bunky Knudsen. He was also responsible for designing the Astro series of Corvette concepts, including the Blue Astro 2 that you saw at the end there. Later on, he formed his own design consulting company and was arguably a part of designing the 1993 Jeep Grand Cherokee. He actually sued Chrysler, saying that AMC had appropriated his design, and they settled out of court for, I believe, several $100,000. So very wide-ranging career across a number of vehicles for Larry Shinoda. But in any case, one last look at this, the mid-engine Corvette concepts, including the 86 Corvette Indy, which GM had a lot of concepts during this period. This Indy, the Buick Wildcat, designed by a friend named Dave Rand, who knows that finance people are a designer's best friend, and later rose to become GM's chief designer of all interiors in North America, and was really responsible for helping GM get away from the interiors by Play School and Hasbro and into the more modern era. Aside from the Wildcat and these mid-engine Corvettes, GM also had some concepts in the 80s that had, let's call them mid-engine-esque proportions, but were not mid-engine, like the Pontiac Banshee, which is another one of my favorite concept cars. But each of these vehicles that you see here, these are true mid-engine vehicles, and really it took many, many years, decades in fact, for the Corvette to finally go mid-engine, really because they had wrung all the performance out of the car that they could from its front engine, rear drive layout. And again, one last look at the Astro 2 there that was done by Larry Shinoda, whom I mentioned a bit earlier in the video. But what a great design history for the Corvette here, and for them also to finally get the job done with the mid-engine C8, which was designed by Tom Peters, who worked on a number of Corvettes over the years. And he even led the design of the 2014 Silverado, which I think the designers called the Fist in the Wind. In any case, hope you enjoyed this exploration of Corvette mid-engine concepts over the years. Take care. Thanks for watching this video. Let me know if you like learning more about vehicles and the people who design them. Seems like a number of you enjoy this. But in any case, if you liked the video, please push the like button and feel free to subscribe. Click the circular icon of the 67 Riviera at the top left, and then hit the bell to ensure that you're notified of all of my future videos. Why would you want to miss out on any of them? Until the next video, take care.